Hey guys, I am so excited. I am counting down the days to the Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2 premiere. And so, in a spirit of fun, I wanted to create a really fun vampire look for you. And I'm kind of going, I don't know, at first I thought I'll do like a Victoria look because I have red hair, but I think I'm just going to do a basic look. I really, really liked the way that Bella looked because she wasn't overly made up. She just looked really, really beautiful. So that's kind of what I'm going to be going for today. And what I'm using to lighten my skin is airbrush foundation. Now, you don't have to have an airbrush gun to use airbrush foundation, but I'm using it because of its coverage quality and its staying power. And one of my favorites is the MAC Pro Performance HD, and this is what the bottle looks like. Um, I don't know if this is available to the general public or not. If it's not, you can always use Dynair. That's a great product too. But this is silicone based, so it's very, very water resistant and humidity resistant. That's why I'm using it. So what I did is I mixed 2 parts of the polished ivory and then to 1 part of the pure white because we don't want our skin white. We just want it light. So I'm also going to add just a few drops. Sorry, I have to grab my product here. I'm going to add a few drops of my NC20 because that has kind of a yellow base to it. So it's going to cancel out some of the pink that I have in my skin. So I'm going to turn my airbrush machine on and just get it mixed up. Now to mix your colors, you just want to turn it on a very low speed and cover the nozzle with your finger and very, very lightly pull back on the trigger and it'll just bubble and mix. Then I'm going to turn it on about half power. And I like to start on my forehead area. You also want to hold your gun approximately 6 to 8 inches away from the skin. And the main thing with airbrushing is you just want to make sure that your gun continues to move, that there's constant movement. Otherwise, you get what's called hot spots. And that's what you don't want because it's kind of hard to cover back up. We're going to make sure and get the eyelid. And make sure that also when you are airbrushing around your eye that you relax as much as you can so it gets into all of the fine lines around your eye. Now I have some dark spots. So to cover any dark spots that you have, you want to turn the speed down and you want to just get a lot closer, but then very lightly pull back on the trigger quickly to cover up any, whether it's hyperpigmentation or scars. And then you can turn it back up and go back over. Obviously, you want to make sure that you get the ear and the neck. And I have a lot of pink in my skin, which obviously you have to cover all of that. So I'm going to go a little bit slower in this area to make sure that I get really, really good coverage. There we go. And you can just kind of go in back and forth motions and then do circular motions just to make sure that you get coverage kind of from every angle is key. Now we'll do the other side. Now again, you don't want to get your skin too white. You just want it to be very, very pale, and it actually looks whiter as I'm looking on the video than it actually does in person. But one thing that I think that they failed to do just by seeing the previews of part 2 and the one before that too actually is I don't think that they made the skin light enough. I don't know about you, but Bella's skin in the last part of part 1 and the previews that I've seen for part 2, she doesn't look any lighter than Kristen Stewart does in real life, which I just kind of think is an injustice to the character and the realism of the character. And that's also something that I've been kind of disappointed about is the makeup artist has changed with every movie, just like the director and the producer. And so there's a little bit of inconsistency all around with these movies, which again is just a disappointment, quite frankly, but I don't know why they made the decision to do that. It seems like at least with makeup artistry that they would have taken care to make sure that the characters looked consistent since they are not supposed to be changing at all. So I have a little bit of pink left over here. Now, one thing, I'm going to grab this. One thing that I have always noticed with especially the silicone airbrush is that it's really hard once you spray it on your skin for all of the fine hairs and peach fuzz to not show. And so one trick that I learned is you just take a beauty blender sponge and it's not even wet, but you just kind of roll it across the skin before the foundation has a chance to permanently set and completely dry, because what that does is it's going to press the hairs back down against the skin so that they won't even be visible. Now again, I still see some pink on this side, so I'm just going to give it a few more shots here. You want to make sure that you get really good around the eyes as well. And the nose. Us women tend to get red around our nose and our mouth, and it's all due to our lovely hormones. So then I'm just going to roll my sponge back across my face. Okay, so I'm going to clean the rest of this foundation out of my gun super quickly, and then we're going to move on to the contouring. And we're going to hollow out the eyes a little bit. And the color I'm going to use for that is my deep brown. It is kind of a grayish brown, which is good because we're creating shadows, so we don't want any red. And I'm going to mix it with my dilution a little bit here. And then we're going to start spraying around the hollow of the cheek. So make sure you're plenty far away because you don't want it to be too hard. You don't want it to look Halloween-y at all. Okay? And don't worry, we'll go back over everything and re-blend everything once we're done with the airbrush part. And then for the forehead, I'm going to mix it with a little bit of the polished ivory, just to lighten it up a tad. And make sure you get into the hairline. And then we're going to go around the eyes, and I'm going to do my crease first. So I'm going to get really close, and I'm going to turn my machine down just a little bit, and I'll zoom in so you guys can see this part a little bit better. But I'm just barely pulling back on the trigger, and I'm just going to hollow out this part. Okay, so it's very, very slight. I'm just creating shadows. And then I'm going to do, so you can see that, and then I'm going to do below the eye. And I'm going to get a little bit farther away for this. And then I'm going to get right underneath the lower lash line. Okay, so you can see it just kind of gave me that hollowed out look. And then I'm going to do it down the side of my nose, because I do that for contouring on my face anyways. And then we'll do all along our jaw line. That just helps to slim our face a little bit. Oh, I got a little bit of a hot spot there. Okay. Now you don't want to touch it too much, and I'm not going to, but I am going to take some of my sculpting powder, and I'm just going to go back over some of those spots very, very lightly to just blend them out a little bit. And that's also the nice thing about the silicone-based formula that I used versus the water-based, is the water-based really doesn't like to be touched with anything when you're done. Okay, so we're just going to bring this up, and then we're going to drag it down, and all this is going to do is it's just going to blend everything together, because right now it looks almost kind of ghoulish, and that's not what we want. So I'm just going to blend over the eyes, down the side of the nose. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to start and, whoa. We're going to start and apply our eyeshadow. And what I chose to use for this look is something from my Naked palette, and it's the Half Baked. And because it goes really, really well with the contouring shade that I've already used, so I'm going to just pat this all along the lid, and I'm going to bring it right up to where I did all of that contouring, so it'll just kind of blend together. And the silicone makeup is actually an amazing base for eyeshadow, so you don't even have to prime your lid first, because it is going to stay put. Okay, and then I'm going to take my round brush, and I'm going to use the color Virgin, which is just kind of almost a colorless highlighter, and I'm going to put that in the very corner and blend that into the Half Baked color that I just put on, and then blend it down a little bit where we did all of that heavy contouring, and then I'm going to put a little bit under the brow bone. Okay. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put on my eyebrows, and I'll be right back with you to show how to finish up the look. Okay, so here we are with almost the finished look, and you can see the eyes are just really, really lightly done. I did add some false lashes, and I have it's a little bit darker on my eye with the lash because I accidentally picked up the self-adhesive lashes, which come with kind of the thick black rubber strip, which I don't like. So I did have to line my eye with a little bit of black liner. Another thing that we want to do with the skin, because we don't want our skin to be this flat, super matte, opaque color, is I'm going to take my favorite highlighter. And this is by The Balm. It's called Mary Luminizer. Whoops, sorry. And I use this stuff every day, and it's awesome. So I'm just going to put that on my upper cheekbone and actually down onto my cheek, just to give my skin kind of that glow. I remember in the last movie, Rosalie's skin looked amazing. The makeup artist for her did a wonderful job because her skin just kind of glistened. It looked beautiful. So let's put that down the center of our nose, on the top of our cheekbones. And then I have another powder that I also like to use on a daily basis. And this is actually by Arbonne. And it is their Natural Radiance Mineral Powder. And this is in light. And it's not sparkly, but it's very luminescent. So I'm going to kind of put that all over the skin. Very, very lightly. Just, again, to make my skin look soft and luminous, because we don't want a real caked look to our skin. So you can see it's already just looking much softer. You want a soft, focused look. Okay, and then to put very, very light coloring in our cheeks, I'm going to use, if I can find it, my MAC blush in Margin. And this is my favorite color of blush. It's kind of a light peachy color. Sorry, guys. And it's got just a little bit of shimmer to it, which again is just going to add to that luminosity of the cheek. So we're just going to, we don't want to put really any on the apple because we want to keep that color very, very light. Okay, so you can see how everything is really starting to come together. It doesn't look so ghoulish anymore. And then for the lip, I'm going to use some colors from my Pro Lip palette here. And I'm just going to mix together a very light kind of mauvey color, and then I'll go over it. So I'm just going to dab that on. Again, it doesn't need to be real perfect. And then I'm going to use a very light sheer berry color. And I'm going to use my lip brush for this. If I can find a clean one. Let's see, I'll use this one actually. You don't want too much color in the mouth. But their lips actually did have quite a lot of color in the movie. Which was consistent with the way they looked overall. And then we'll put a little bit of shimmery gloss over the top. Just to add a little bit more depth. I know that they had pretty matte lips, but I do not like my mouth to be matte. My lips are too big for that. Okay, and then one more quick thing, and we're going to go ahead and add a little bit more shadow to the under eye area. And I'm going to, again, use my Naked palette for that and my domed eyeshadow brush. And go ahead and kind of drop it down a little bit. Make sure you get into the corner really good. And this is the color Buck, and this is just a satin light chocolate brown, but it matches the airbrush color that I used earlier. Just adding a little bit more depth to this. Okay, so there is your vampire look. It's a look that I think anybody should be able to pull off without it being too obvious, so that if people see you and they don't know what you're doing, they're going to look at you and think, oh my God, what did that woman do to her face? So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you have a little bit more fun going to the movies, because it is Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2. Get out there, dress up, have fun with your girlfriends, and enjoy the movie. Until next time, we'll see ya.